Gentlemen, have you been called lazy? Have you been told by multiple people that you are? By your mother? By your father? By your teacher? A coworker? Your boss? Even your pastor? Do you think this to yourself? Yo, why am I lazy? Cause it's not like I really want to be lazy. It's just sometimes I don't feel like doing anything. I want to be better, but I'm tired. All of that is swirling around your head. It's confusing, right? But don't worry, you're in luck. You did the right thing. You came to class. Balance of power. I got you covered with today's lesson. Why are men lazy? Let's get it in. Alright, gentlemen, so this is a good news, bad news scenario right now. So, good news is, it's not just you. It's kind of how we're built. It's every man. It's all of us. And yes, when I say all, I'm saying 90+%. I don't mean 100%. That's just crazy. There's going to be 10% of weirdos, outliers, people who just don't conform to the nature of how men function. That was the good news, that basically it's how we're built. But that's also the bad news, which is it's still our responsibility to not let it run rampant. So what if we're built like that? So what if it's us predisposed to do it? It doesn't matter. It's still our responsibility to keep us in check. So the juice of the situation, the why. Why are we like this? Why is this happening? It can be broken down really into two main categories. There's the surface level, which is the things we like. And then there's the deeper level, which is how we're built. So, on the surface of things, when we are done with missions, there's a set of things that we like. There are things like peace, quiet, rest, and we like consistency. We like the same things over and over again. We like the same bar stool in the same restaurant, eating the same sandwich, probably in the same day of the week. What we like can easily be summed up into one word, which is stability. We're built on tracks of math and scientific logic. For us, 1 + 1 = 2. We're built to be pragmatic. Most simple, easy, quick solution is generally what we go for. We're built to be purposeful. We are purpose-driven. Things have to have a reason in order for us to do it most of the time. Even if that reason is to just have fun, or if the reason is something deeper, like, I don't know, we're needed in some way. That is how we're built, which is why many of us have a problem. Ladies, if you're watching, you should be. Many of us have a problem with the whole I don't need no man, because we think to ourselves instantaneously, if we're not needed, why are we here? If you don't need us, if there's no need, if there's no purpose for us to be here, why am I wasting my time? It's just how we're built. And lastly, we work on a if it ain't broke, don't fix it track of basically, if something's working perfectly, why do we need to change it? Why do we need to do anything different? I like this bar stool. I like this thing. I like this technique. I like this process. I like this piece of technology. It does exactly what I need it to do. It works fine.
I'm here for the EMP beads. I've developed an update.
Update? No, it worked perfectly.
How many times do I have to teach you? Just because something works doesn't mean that it cannot be improved.
You are teaching me. What do you know?
So if we were going to sum up how we are built into one word, that word would be efficiency. And this is how deep the science goes, gentlemen and ladies. It's how we are built to a heavy degree, to a fundamental piece of who we are. Now, if you remember from this video, I talked about how men are like steel, women are like feathers. So there's a science experiment that you can even do in your head because you already know what the result is. If you stand on your roof of your building, in one hand you have a feather, and on one hand you have a steel bar. You go like this, you drop them. What happens? What happens to each thing? The feather, women, are going to float all around. And if you're standing underneath trying to catch it, so you're dropping it onto someone and they're going to be down there trying to catch it, in order to catch the feather, they be like this, moving around to have to try to catch the feather as it flits through the air. But what about the steel bar? What does it do? It drops straight down, so someone can stand directly underneath your hand and catch it. There might be some wind resistance depending on how high you drop it from. But for the most part, it's straight line, pragmatic, dead on. So that was all the why. Now I know you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that was cool. You talked about the why and everything, but like you said you was going to tell us like how does it happen? Like I get like why, I mean like kind of, but how does that tie into like how? I'm glad you asked the question. It's a good one, and you're here in class. Asking questions is good, and I give you answers. So the answer is, for the how, it's an overactivation of our pragmatic and logical nature. So let me repeat that and say it in a different way for the cats in the back. Basically, when all of the ways that we're built and all of the things that we like, if that is overactivated, if we do it too much, if we go too far, then it starts to turn into lazy. To give a quick example, back in the day when you wanted to change the channel on a TV, you had to get up from your couch, walk over, and turn a dial. And then eventually, get up from your couch, walk over, and push buttons. It started to get more and more logical, started to get more and more straight to the point. Eventually, it got to a point where you could sit on your couch, have a device in your hand called a remote control, which it's not like we don't have them anymore. I don't know why I just said that like it's a thing that doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, you have a remote now, so you can change channels. Now, some of you still have these remotes with a bunch of numbers on them, but some of us who are cord cutters, we don't have numbers on our remotes anymore. It's now this thing where you press a button and you just speak. Turn on YouTube. And the TV now turns to YouTube. You're not even pressing numbers anymore. So the more pragmatic and logical 1 + 1 scientific, the more technology is moving towards the how do I make this faster, better, straight line. I want what I want instead of going around in all of these ways. How do I conserve the energy and make it as efficient as possible? Because that constant straight line, that constant 1 + 1 = 2, that constant, the fastest way between 2 points is that straight line. How do we get there in the most efficient, energy conserving way possible? How? All of that, when we do that too much, it starts to look like you're just a lazy fool who don't want to get up off the couch. And so you make it so you don't even have to press numbers anymore. Now you're just saying, yo, turn on YouTube. It starts to look and feel lazy. But anything that we take too extreme will start to look and feel and then eventually become the extreme, which for us, gentlemen, is lazy. So what I'm saying is not just that it looks lazy or it sounds lazy, but it's actually not lazy. No, for some of us, many of us, all of us, it has crossed over into being actually lazy. But the key question here, for you gentlemen and for you ladies watching, to determine what kind of man you got and what you need to worry about, and gentlemen, you need to determine who you are and what you need to worry about, is this key question. Where does your lazy lie? What that means is, where is your lazy living? Where does it lay its head? Where does it rear its ugly head and pop out and you're just lazy in these random ways that you're like, dang, how did that happen? Why is it? So you need to find out what that is, and you need to control it. How you say? Well, you know you, right? Obviously, I'm going to give you some solutions. So, what to control and how to control it. So the first thing you need to do, gentlemen, is create a list of categories in your life. So it'll be like husband, father, work, spirituality, friendship, personal care, all the different things that you can think of. All the different major categories in your life. And out of those, determine, if I'm going to be lazy, which of these can I be lazy on? And if I'm going to be lazy a little bit in each category, to what extent? How am I going to be lazy? What does that lazy look like? And just in case you're thinking, well, why not eliminate all laziness altogether? Like, isn't that the best thing, to just not be lazy? No, you can't do that. It's not really possible. Because it's how we're built, there's going to be times in which it overactivates. It's just an energy that we have as men. You can't eliminate it. It's energy. And I've told you this before about energy. If this is your first video, I'm going to give you a scientific lesson. Energy cannot be destroyed. You can change its form. You can move it from location to location, but you can't get rid of it by destroying it. It's always going to be there. We're going to keep generating it on our own. And so because we're going to generate this lazy nature, this lazy energy all the dang time, you need to have a plan as to what to do with it. Because uncontrolled energy in the lazy factor is going to pop out where you don't want it to. Uncontrolled laziness equals weak men and angry women and angry homies who are men mad at you because now you're a weak dude. You're a weak dude right here. Women are going to be mad at you and your homies going to be mad at you. And even the outside world, nobody likes a weak man. Nobody. And you know this.
And you know this, man.
So don't let your lazy turn you into that. So instead of just letting it be all uncontrolled and just pop out in random ways and all of a sudden you're just sitting on the couch and your kids is all over the place and your wife comes home and she's like, what the? You're like, oh, I was tired. Homie, nah, don't just let it happen like that. You get to decide. This is what I said in the beginning. It's a good news, bad news scenario. Good news is it's a natural thing, so you don't have to feel too bad about it. But the bad news is it's still our, all of us responsibility to make sure we control where it goes. We control how to direct that energy. It's like that lightning rod lesson I've taught you before. So within this list of where you want your lazy to lie, you get to decide, and you're going to hopefully, if you are already in a relationship, you hopefully did this. And if you're about to be in a relationship or you're still trying to figure that out, you're going to supplement your lazy. It's got to be in an acceptable parameters. But you're going to supplement your lazy with whoever you're with. So she complements your lazy. To give you an example, when it comes to me, where my lazy lies, and a part of it is natural, just who I am, and another part is how I came up, and the fact that as I'm growing, I'm like, okay, I'll accept that this is the lane in which my lazy stays. For me, self-care. I don't take care of myself. If I'm hungry and I'm tired, I will be sitting somewhere and I just won't do anything to eat for me. I won't eat. There's times where I won't sleep because I'm working too much. If I get sick, homie, your man's he might die. And so what I've done is that when I'm looking for a woman to be with, when I'm selecting my mate, I look for a woman who's a healer. I look for a woman who is good at taking care of others. Is she nurturing? Is she going to remind me to eat? Is she going to bring me a sandwich? Is she going to help me when I get sick? There's so many things that have happened to me of like just physical random stuff that have happened because of crazy scenarios in my life. And if it wasn't for the women in my life, your man's would probably be dead right now. So I allow that to be where my lazy energy goes, but it only stays there. It doesn't cross over into all these other angles and ways and lanes and what have you. Because when you are forming this list of lazy, of where you're going to put that energy, you also need to create a never that list. An area in which you never let your lazy cross into it. Now, all of us are free to put whatever we want on this list, right? But I'm going to give you, as a man, something that needs to be on your list. And when I say your list, I mean every single pair of nuts watching this. It needs to be on your list if you are a man. Leadership. You cannot ever be lazy when it comes to leadership as a man. You just can't. You can't shirk your responsibilities of everything that leadership requires. Meaning protection, provision, no man on the planet is ever going to accept another man just being lazy when it comes to that. And again, I say all of us, but that leaves about 10% of the weirdos and the nonconformists, but the 90+% of us who are real, and especially the more manly you are, you're not going to just let that slide. No one's gonna be cool with the fact that you're lazy when it comes to protecting your family. Nobody. Nobody's gonna look at you and have any sympathy. Nah, homie, you know what it is. You know your job. You can never allow that to be in the list of lazy when it comes to protection. And when it comes to making sure your family has a home to live in, no, if you're homeless, no one's gonna look at your wife. They're all gonna look at you. It'd be you, your wife, and your kids all chilling out on a sidewalk somewhere. No one's looking at the kids. No one's looking at the wife. They're going to look at you because it's your job. Don't slip, slack, or ever fall down without getting back up when it comes to leadership. You cannot be lazy on that. And also, and it's funny that I have to say this because it's like an inception kind of a thing. On this list of being lazy and what you're going to be lazy on and what you're not going to be lazy on, you can't be lazy on making the list of being lazy. A dream within a dream within a dream. Basically, you can't just do nothing. You can't just not address the energy in the room because I was going to say that I've taught you this before, but again, this might be your first video, so I'm going to teach you again. There's a universal rule. It's a universal automatic negative that happens with almost everything in the universe. What that means is that if you want something positive to happen in your life, that requires action. Inaction is almost always automatically negative. If you do nothing, it's almost always going to turn out to be something bad. What's his name? Napoleon Hill. He's got a great example of this where he talks about if you tie your arm down, if you were to tie your arm at your side for an entire year and just not use it, watch your arm wither away and die because the universe operates on a use it or lose it strategy. Because like I said, auto negative. If you don't do something active, if you don't make this list, if you don't direct where this energy is going to go, it's going to negatively affect you automatically because you're slipping. So don't let even laziness about doing this work stop you from improving where your laziness is going to go. I ain't say don't be lazy ever. That's impossible. And I'm not saying that laziness by itself is just automatically wrong. Sometimes it's great to relax. Sometimes being able to, fall down, relax, do nothing. But notice even in the beginning of this video, I said after a mission is done. Make sure, gentlemen, and not just that your lazy is in the right place, but that you've earned the right to be lazy. Now that's the end of today's lesson. Now, you already know the deal. Go ahead and throw thumbs. If you found value in these videos, as I know you did, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you get these videos plugged right into your feed. We are still on the road to 10K, so on top of you subscribing, if you're really good, slide this video to somebody who might need to hear this message. Because I know you love these lessons, so come on back and click on another video. But until next time, no. Deuce, deuce.